record on this computer.
Hey, so you're gonna share that recording?
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I don't need to finish this.
Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, we can say that.
All right, cool. So I created 2 instances before, but I'm going to delete those instances so you guys can see from scratch how things are done. All right. Matter of fact, I think I'll create 3 instances. Hopefully no errors. Whenever I get syslog, things start going ballistic. All right, so just creating AWS instances, but again, it's just basic Linux. If you have a Linux server, whether VMware based or VirtualBox or any other type of solution that you use, that's fine. So let's just spin up these instances and go from there. Make these. Hey, if you're on, just mute. There's a lot of background noise. All right, there we go. But unmute if you have questions, if you have something to say. All right. Okay, cool.
Hey, Naresh joined. What's up?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Hey, hi.
All right, cool. I'm
Hey, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, this is Steve.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, this for the Rsyslog training, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
I'm spinning up.
Your AWS.
Yeah, I'm using it.
EC2. Okay, yeah. Try that.
All right, so I'm just gonna spin up. It doesn't need to be beefy. I'm just gonna spin up some very
Okay.
this.
Spin
up 3. So it'll be 2 senders and it's gonna be 1 receiver. Add some storage on here. Doesn't need to be much, but
do you have Zelle?
Yeah, you can find me on Zelle.
All right. Yeah, I don't have cash. All right, thank you. Let me mute then. Just saying what we're doing.
Okay, no worries. That's fine. All right. And before I do that, let me just add the security groups. Back in a little bit. All right. So I created a group, security group, that basically allows all traffic, because this is just a test. So we just need to allow all traffic. Don't need to get super fancy and allow and all that.
What the hell?
So starting up now. All right. So Beetle, Elaine, Resh. Okay, cool. Okay, so Rsyslog server. We'll call this one the client. Client 2. Let's call this the server. And then this guy would be Rsyslog server. All right, so hopefully these guys are up and good to go. So let's try to connect to this guy first. All right, let's see what's going on there. All right, so return. So basically, when you're setting up Rsyslog, I guess let me start there. It's usually used to be able to grab logs from multiple devices and also from different appliances that may not necessarily be able to store logs or may not keep the logs based upon the retention time that your employer wants to keep it. So one of the things you may want to do is centralize your stuff so that it's in one location. And then for us who are Splunkers, you would usually install Splunk Forwarder or a universal forwarder or a heavy forwarder there, and then just monitor the logs locally, and then send that to your Splunk indexers. We're not going to go through all that right now. Right now is just more of just getting logs from 2 clients, and you're going to send that to the server, and then from there create like paths for it to be able to read it. All right, so dang, it's getting blasted. See, all right, so let's go to. I'm also going to open up my. Going to open up the 3 servers, so at least we'll be able to see it. So, and then I'll open up another one that I want to. So open path search. It's just my search head. Don't need to worry about this. And then go to my indexer. Then lets me get the rest of these guys over here. So right now the first one's going to be our server. Jeez. Let's see what this is about.
Hey, bro, can you mute the group for a while?
Yeah. Yeah, let me mute these guys. What even my settings at?
Oh man. Hey, sorry. Is that WhatsApp on the browser?
Yeah, yep.
I did not know that. Man.
Yeah, man. So,
WhatsApp web.
Okay.
saves time on that phone, man. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to our second server. So just so that we can make it clear, it's VI. Let's see, host name. We're gonna call this guy. Whoops, I got a sudo into this. So sudo. Delete that, and then we'll call this Rsyslog. Copy this. All right, and then sudo vi. Let's see. This. Oh, I just changed. Oh, I changed the wrong one. All right, so let's call this guy the right name. I was on the second one. All right. And then let's get this guy by his right name. Oopsies. Oh, you know what? That's a big dummy mistake. I didn't copy this thing. I thought I copied it for the client one. So this one's actually, we'll just call this client one since we haven't really done anything. And then this is going to be two. I only got like 20 minutes, so I'm trying to rush. All right, so we got client one, client two. So let's now go to our first client and sudo vi etc Rsyslog first. Delete that. Rsyslog client. Okay. What is he pinging me about now? Let's do sudo. Let's let that guy come back with the right name. And let's create our new guy over here. All right, come on. Connect. Let's see. All right. So, log 2. All right, so created a host name, sudo. These guys should be back up now. All right, got the right name. All right, cool. So very easy, very simple to set up the client versus the, crap. I named these guys 2 clients. Oh, sorry. All right. Forgot to change this guy. Sudo in here. Yes, I did. Okay. Right. Accidentally. This guy should be back up now. Client 2. All right. So let's set up the clients. Very easy. All right. So vi, let's see. Rsyslog. Conf. So this is the main file that you're going to basically edit, right? So when you go on rsyslog.conf, by default, it's going to have just these standard configurations. So in here, you have your modules, and then you have basically a file up here that tells you where your configuration is located and where you can sort of get help. So down here, you have your modules that need to be loaded. So if this is not loaded, your syslog basically will not work. So this needs to be loaded for it to essentially work. At this bottom stage right here, sorry, I gotta go inside of here as root, or at least
Hello, boss.
hey man. Hey, mute yourself if you're joining. So once you're in here, you have to uncomment this, and once you uncomment this, what happens is this is loading the UDP protocol in terms of its ability, syslog's ability to listen on UDP ports, and then this is telling it where to look at that port. So you can put 514, whatever port you decide to put it on it. That's up to you. So let's say we wanted to do 6514, and then put 514 for TCP. We can do it this way as well. And then down here, these don't really matter as much for a sender, but more so for the receiver. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. If you had different types of setups in regards to if you had another location, like another configuration file, you can load that under etc rsyslogd. In general, you get by default a listen.conf that's there. And then the listen.conf is you can edit that and put different modules in there as well, and different types of configurations like if statements and stuff as well. So at the base, just to send logs in general, you go down here to your forwarding rule. And basically you can either uncomment that or you can just make your own. Best practice is just to make your own. Then you basically say the host that you want. One @ means you're sending, just UDP. 2 @ means you're sending TCP. And then if you wanted to configure it to send like specific logs, then you can do, you can basically restrict it. So right now this is saying .send everything, but you can restrict it to say mail.this or send var.this star. So you can send anything based on that. Right now we're just going to say send everything for the sake of this purpose, or the sake of this demonstration. All right, so we're going to send it to our, I think which one are we on? Are we on we're on client 2? Let me hide this floating thing. And I'll get to your questions for whoever's putting questions and stuff. I just, want to make sure cognizant of time. So let's see if this guy's back up now. All right, syslog server's back up. And then the IP for the server. I'm gonna paste that in here. And then after that, crap, what the heck? So I always forget when you escape out of when you press escape by hiding the zoom tab, it's the same escape that it will use for getting out of your file. So all right, so sudo system ctl, then restart, then r syslog.
Watch how you spell CT. You had a Y next to the CTL.
Yeah, my bad. I'm really bad at that. So we see that it's restarted. Then, of course, you can always check the status as well to see if there's any issues there. So as long as you see this and then you don't see no errors at the bottom here, then you're good. I'll show you guys quickly what you will get if it's wrong. So let's go to, let's see, off again. So essentially the same thing we're going to do here. I'm going to comment this, and comment this, comment this, and comment that. And then I'm going to make an error at the bottom here. So let's say we do start. And same thing, copy the host name. So cat, let's see, Rsyslog off, and let's grab start. Just need to grab this thing right here from this guy. All right, so that's for client one we're trying to do this for. So paste that, and then let's do an error. Let's do something wild, right? So if we were to go in here and then do something like this, sudo system ctl syslog, right? Right, so this is what you'll get, and you see as it inputs, so it tells you exactly what the error is, and basically what you got to go do to fix it. It's a valid and it's an invalid configuration. There's no module named that, so it's going to be like, hey, you're crazy. Fix that before you try to restart me or try to run me. So let's go and fix this. And then for like the modules and stuff, you can literally go up here to the location to be able to, see the different types of configurations you can use. And then if you needed to troubleshoot it, you can, of course, go to that link that it has there. So, dang, we got 15 people. Got a slug of folks coming through. All right, so cool. So that's set. All right, so let's restart again. And then now if we check the status, it should be all green and gold. Should be good to go. All right, so now to check netstat -tulpn. You don't need it to do tulpn. Let's just say we want to look for UDP. What's listening? Let's grep for, oh, that's because we're sending it. It needs to be on this guy over here. So first, let's configure it, and it'll tell us that it's receiving it. Okay, so let's go to, this is now the server. Making decent time. All right, so for this guy, again, reception for all of these. And then we'll go down to here. Actually, it's not sending, so we don't even need to do it on this guy because it's not forwarding. It doesn't need the forwarding rule. So for this guy, since it's listening, this is the guy that we're gonna need to do this on. So let's do sudo restart system CTL. Restart. Okay, so now that you do that, do the net stats dash UL, then let's just do that. And then you'll see, well, not UL because UDP won't, T UL. There we go. And where are we at? Where are we at? Okay, I see it's listening on here, but all right, give me just a second. Yeah, it's set. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna send something because I don't see the port listing on here, but let's do TULPN. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. This is set to grep for it. Okay, so here we see is listening for anything, and difference between TCP and UDP. TCP will have these listens here. Of course, you guys already know like the acknowledgement and stuff like that. Just a second, guys. All right. So listen, and then here you won't see listings on here, but essentially, you know, as long as you see this, it's essentially able to listen depending on where you've allowed it to. All right. So this is again my security groups are configured in AWS, so it's allowed to listen to anything. So that's why you see these here. All right. So that's been configured. So now let's try to do a test, right? So let's do test, not test, logger. Logger command allows you to just basically generate sample logs, testing, and then we'll do, this is a test. Okay, run that a couple times. Then let's see if it grabs anything. See, by default var, so I have to worry about doing that. Let's see log. Then let's do grep-r test star. All right, so you see, this is a test. Rsyslog client by default, since we didn't set a path for it to be set to, the logs are coming now into varlog messages. So by default, if you don't set anything, that's where the stuff will be coming into. And same thing if we were to send something here, will be the same thing. Now I don't know if I've set well, it's listening on everything, so it should be able to send here. So let's do that anyway. So logger -2. Okay. Then there we go. Hey bro, we testing. And you guys see down here at the bottom. Then it's all right, cool. Any questions so far about this piece? All right, so I got about 7 minutes. Let me try to basically configure a listening rule on here as well. So if we were to go to cd etc rsyslog d, and then you see, remember how I talked about inside of rsyslog.conf, it has let me, it'd be better if I just show you. So vi sudo vi it's all right, so here there's an include file, there's an include statement. Basically, if you include whatever you want, so right now, by default, includes rsyslog.d. But if you want to include multiple other files, regardless of locations, you can do that. And basically, it's looking for anything that has a .conf, and it's going to roll that up into rsyslog.d. So when the daemon runs, it basically looks for anything that's located in any of these specialized configurations. And it uses this include configuration module that's by default with rsyslog. Okay, so that's set. So right now we're just gonna, let's say we created our own .conf, right? So let's do.
Quick question, please.
Sure.
Yeah, are we to have the record of this after this so I can take over it again?
Yeah, I'll send you guys a recording of this as well.
Thank you.
Yep, no worries. So let's do vsplunk.com. Right, so we enter that. I got a few configurations that I have in here, right? So let's not do the if one. So that's why I opened this one. So you can find all of these modules in again in your just do a quick Google or in that configuration location that's put in your rsyslog.com. So let's do cat.
So, hey, I have a question here, bro.
Sure.
Please go ahead. I'll ask in the end. Don't want to waste the time. So,
Okay. No worries. So here, so this is a template. So that there's multiple, so you can do multiple different templates. So this is one I just used and I create. So what it's saying basically is I want to create a template, and the template is going to be called remote logs, right? So in remote logs, I'm going to create a path that stuff is going to be set to, right? So it creates that remote path where stuff is set to. And then it basically says anything that's coming in from this template called remote logs, send it there and then just finish and stop. So that's what that's doing right here. So you can call it whatever you want to call it as far as a template, but just make sure you call that same template when you do that. So you can use this one, and then I can call the template something else. So let's go to, so this is Rsyslog. So we'll put this in here. Right. And then this again. All right, so that was the remote template, and then this cat. Let's see. Remote. All right. There's one more thing I want to show you. Matter of fact, let me just go in here. I think I actually know. It's on my search head. Okay, let me not waste time. It's on my search head. All right, so got that set. Let's just let's say we wanted to save these logs to instead of remote logs, we're gonna save this to we splunkers. All right, so that needs to be a location. So let's make that directory slash we splunkers. Okay, let me make sure I spelled that right. Let's see our system. That D slash spunkers. So spunkers, and I created spunkers. Okay, so sudo system ctl let's check the status. Everything should be good. Oh. All right, so it's crying about something. Let's go look at that.
bro, I think you missed a space. You missed a space over there.
Oh, where, bro?
In the end line. In the end.
Oh, this part right here?
Insert. No.
Behind it?
The below line.
Oh, down here? Nah, it's deleted. Guess I'm not seeing it. Yeah. Let's see if it it's still working, but as you guys can see here, it's still working, but it's probably something I missed, like a little, you know, this is probably a statement or something that I missed. I think is like you might be saying in English. I think it might be a space. Oh, actually, no. Action is deprecated. Consider using stop instead. That's why. Okay. It's so that's an old one instead. So so let's see if we can fix that quickly. It's working now anyway, but let's do stop. And then
Bro, I know what happening. Go to that file.
Rule set. When you have your rule set.
Go to that vsplunk.file, bro. Yeah, come down. There is no space after the stop. Can you come down to the next line?
Yeah. Which one? Yeah, there's no space after the stop though, bro.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what the issue is. I have to troubleshoot it on my own. But in any regards, our configuration is working though. Does somebody want to say something?
Yeah, from the stop stuff, normally after when do you set up your rule set?
Huh?
You set up a rule, like a rule set, like if the if statement and stuff, and then the conference is zero, right?
You're very distant, bro.
I say for that error that's asking for stop is followed by an enrichable statement. Where is that? Where is that enrichable statement? Where is that coming from? Just want to say.
Which statement? This one?
Yeah, the one in top. The stop is followed by your okay.
Yeah, this one. So it's complaining about this last line. So usually the tilde is supposed to be the stop, but it says that one is deprecated. So I switched it to stop because that's the one that it says use, but for some reason it's complaining about that. But it's still working, but I'm not sure why it's like complaining about stop still. Like here it says error done. Config process stop is followed by unreachable statement. Like stop. Some lines are so. Either way, that's essentially how you configure it. And then you can configure with multiple different hosts. So right now we're getting logs here. So let's say, same thing here. Let's say this is just to the new location. And then let's do, so let's get this together. Go to our server. Then all right, so grep-r test star. All right, so it's coming in here. So tail-f that, then splunking. RSG. Oh, Splunky. All right. Any questions so far about this?
I have one question in general, bro.
Sure, bro.
So how intelligent is Rsyslog server to handle the data duplication? Assume like, we are running a script on Rsyslog client 1, and all of a sudden there is a network outage and lost the connection between client 1 to server, right?
Mhm.
So is it index the logs like, from the beginning, or is it index like where it stopped actually?
I think it just indexes anything. So if you do a resend, it's just gonna re-index it. So like let's say you're sending, like you're talking about like with the failover. If the first server sends, some of those logs, and then the second server is sending like the same repeated logs, it's gonna catch that too, unless you have like a load balancer or something that's checking that. But from my understanding, there's no way that you can set up Rsyslog to sort of handle that. If there is, I'm very limited in that because I've never done that before.
Yeah.
But go ahead, bro.
A good point. But let's say
Okay, got you.
So there's no way they can set some like filters that can take away the duplicates.
we do.
Well, filters is one thing. Filters are saying like, let's say if it's coming from one host, then put it to here, or if you're coming from another host, put it here. But that's different from saying if it's coming from a server in general, read the logs and then put it in here. Because even if it reads the logs and it's coming from multiple different hosts, it's still going to log it. It's not going to delete it unless you have some type of like script or something that's looking against the logs and then say, if we see duplicates, then delete the duplicate. But our syslog is just a server. To me, from my use cases, it's been like a dumb server that just grabs logs and then just picks it up and puts it where you tell it to put it.
Hey, Naresh, when you say duplicate, you mean duplicate between Syslog server or duplicate?
You're breaking, bro.
Oh, when you say duplicate, do you mean duplicate on the Syslog server or duplicate when it gets to Splunk?
Duplicate in Splunk. What? I missed the ending.
Huh?
I missed the ending. You're still breaking.
So, okay, when you actually for that duplicate issue, like try to avoid duplicate, you mean a duplicate within Syslog server or the duplicate like when the data gets into Splunk? If you have, let's say you have two Syslog servers and you're getting logs from a specific device and you have a failure or like something happened and then it picks back up. What do you mean by duplicate?
Duplicate reading the syslog,
Oh, I
like
see.
syslog reading the duplicate data.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I mean, with Splunk we can do that. I mean, anyways, from Splunk we index from syslog server, right? So
Yeah.
in Splunk you can set up that rule, to ignore the duplication. But my question is how we can set up the syslog server to avoid the duplication?
Oh,
Maybe with the scripting, or
yeah. See,
that's my question.
the only way I've seen it is actually to have pretty much if you need to have maybe a load balancer and VIP between your device and your syslog and have multiple syslog servers so that
I sorry about that, bro. Maybe am I the only one having hard time, with the audio, or it's breaking? I mean, your voice is breaking. Is it clear for everyone, guys?
I think I have a concern though. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, so where are we actually editing this configuration files? Is it on the syslog servers or which client is this?
So the one on the left is the syslog server.
Okay.
The one on the right is the client. So the client I configured to send the logs to the server over here, and I configured two clients. And then that's what you're seeing when you go inside of Weak Flunkers. See, there's a client one and client two.
Okay.
Then basically when I did the logger, I basically tell it, in terms of like not necessarily the facility, but more so like the location. So if we go to our syslog client two, you see when I did testing, I did my logger T. So let's say I did a logger. Let's do watch ls/l. So if I did logger and I do, let's say, look here. See now look here is created and it creates a log inside of look here. And then, yeah, if I do any other type of, whatever, it'll create that same thing, create that here, and then it'll create the log inside of that location. Does So that's how the logger command will work. And then basically it's reading from our configuration file to, if we go to, let's see, our syslog D, and then inside of here, we created a conf file called weSplunk.conf. And then a weSplunk.conf, I basically send it like saying receive remote logs is what I'm calling it. And they're going to go inside of here. And we're going to use a variable that our syslog uses. There's a from host. There's a whole bunch of other different variables that you can use. And then use the program. And then program basically is what we are saying. This is right here. That's the program, calling it. And then call it .log.
Okay.
So,
I have a quick question, Ben.
sure.
So, given that you're required to bring in logs from the Cisco server, right?
Mhm.
And obviously those are syslogs. Do I have to go through the Rsyslog, or are there any other configuration apps I need to download on the
Say
search
that
end?
one more time.
Given that you're being required to bring in logs from Cisco server, like for example, UCSA server,
Yeah.
do I need to download an app? And after doing the configurations on the Rsyslog?
No. So you don't need to download anything in terms of like getting logs in from the Cisco clients or whatever client it is. All you need to do is stand up our syslog. And typically, most RHEL CentOS servers have our syslog configured by default. But if you needed to install it, it's really easy. It's yum install our syslog, and then you just go from there. This is just starting it. This is enabling it so that it starts on boot. And then, of course, you guys saw me check the status already. And then these are some other, variables that, not variables, but conditions that we can use. So if it's from like host name equals, and then the host name. So let's say the host name is like Cisco_ACS 2, then you say send it to this location instead. And that's what it's doing here. Then this right here is reading the host name that as it appears in the message itself, whereas this one is reading the host name as it appears like a FQDN. So if you have a reverse lookup that you can do on your server, depending on your DNS server, it can basically grab that and put that into that location. And then of course IP is just IP. So that's how that works there. There's a whole bunch of other different variables. There's a message, debug. There's like a lot of different other options and flags that you can use with our syslog. 30 minutes, there's no way for me to do all that stuff in here. So, as long as you guys get the general gist of like how to set up an Rsyslog server, the rest of the flags and stuff you can figure out on your own and just go through that. Any questions though about that? All right, cool. So I'm gonna send a recording to the folks that sent me their stuff. Unless you guys want me to put it just in the class in general, I can. So if you have any questions as you go through the recording, let me know. But for the most part, I think I did a decent job of setting it up, fairly quickly and getting some logs in. So that's that. All right, guys.
Man, thank you, man. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Hey, sir, do you just want us to send emails on the chat or just put it on the WhatsApp group?
Hey, it's up to you guys. What do you guys want me to do? I can put it on WhatsApp or send it individually.
Just send it where we can have access to.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.